Welcome back to the Joe Miller Show, KON Hot Talk, 1080 AM, 95.1 FM. We have with us Rachel Alexander. She's a senior editor at The Stream. She's a political columnist, founder of Intellectual Conservative, writes for a whole bunch of online publications, Town Hall, Christian Post, Right Wing News, UK Guardian, other publications. She is self-described a recovering attorney, former Gun Magazine editor, and from 2011 to 14 listed as one of the 50 best conservative columnists by Right Wing News. Ms. Alexander has been on this show before. Rachel, thank you for being with us on the Joe Miller Show.
Thanks. Always like coming back.
So you wrote an article about Servergate. Hillary's emails keep on giving gifts, obviously, to the conservative press. I couldn't believe it. Doug Ross put up a cartoon. We put it on restoringliberty.com. I think it was yesterday. I mean, the lies just keep coming, don't they?
Well, until about a week and a half ago, I thought that she was just going to completely, skate with all this, and she was going to cruise to the Democrat nomination. And about a week and a half ago, it really hit me, when she was behind in the polls in New Hampshire to Bernie Sanders. And then these emails kept coming, and there was new developments. I thought, you know what? This isn't going away. And it's probably going to actually end up derailing her nomination. There's a really good chance at this point. And so I thought, you know what? Because the stories keep coming out, she keeps changing her mind. Things keep getting worse. There's more and more felonies, it looks like. I thought, this could make a good column, a regular column. So I started a column called Servergate. And I'm going to track what's going on with this from this point out, because you're an attorney like me, Joe. I think she's committed at least 5 different felonies. And, unlike your average, felony, these ones put all Americans' lives at risk. This is much more serious than people imagine.
Well, in fact, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that General Petraeus ended up pleading out to a very similar offense on the basis of just 1 or 2 emails containing classified information. We're now up to about 300 plus with Hillary. I put up a story about this the other day on our Facebook, and one of our supporters wrote in and said, hey, Obama's just going to cover for her. I disagree with that. I don't think Obama can control this at this point, can he?
Well, and 2 things I want to address. First, General Petraeus, those emails that he was convicted of for having, in his desk drawer at home, those were only classified level, whereas Hillary, we already have top secret level emails that she had stored insecurely on that server, which was unencrypted for 3 months, okay? So there's 4 different levels of information. Classified is the lowest level. The top level is top secret. So Hillary's already gone way beyond General Petraeus. As for, anything ever happening to her under the Obama administration, because, the FBI now has these emails, I do think, they're going to try to cover for her as much as they want. I think what will end up happening is she's just going to get a slap on the wrist, and it'll derail her nomination. I think where the real teeth are going to come down is going to be in Congress, which is doing its own parallel investigation of her.
Right, and of course there's going to be more embarrassing revelations come out for that. Now, the server that was unencrypted for 3 months, is this the server that's held by the private group in Colorado, or where is the server?
From what I understand, she deleted everything off of it, and then she turned it over to the FBI. So I think, the worst, most incriminating emails we're never even going to see. She's turned over something like 30,000 to 65,000, 30,000 to 50,000 emails or so. There were supposedly 62,000 emails in total. So I believe she's still holding some back. I don't know if we can ever get them. We all know she wanted to read a book on how to delete emails and avoid subpoenas for emails. So it's my personal opinion, since she delayed so much turning over this server with the deleted emails, I think she just deleted them all off.
Let's talk a little bit about that book. I mean, that's not something that really has made the mainstream press. That's shocking. What was the book she ordered, and how was it discovered that she'd actually done that?
I can't remember the name of the book off the top of my head. It had the word email in it, and it was a FOIA request that it might have been like Judicial Watch that put in for. But what is really disgusting is, and this might be a couple days old, but I think it's still accurate, ABC News was the only major news outlet that even covered her ordering that book. And that was only in an article on their website. They don't even discuss it on their TV show. So this has been completely ignored by the press. I mean, the mainstream, liberal-leaning press. They refer to what Hillary has done, and this just makes me so furious, as merely digital mismanagement. I'm like, you're kidding me, right? Multiple felonies that have put all Americans' lives at risk, because once ISIS or any of those terrorist organizations get all that information, we're all at risk. And that's how you refer to it. I mean, even Bob Woodward, you probably heard this just came out, Washington Post, who did the whole expose on Nixon and Watergate. He's even comparing this to Watergate. And, in my personal opinion, this is much worse than Watergate, because this puts every American's lives at risk.
And it's kind of funny. It goes back full circle in the sense that, wasn't it the Watergate investigation when she was working that she actually got fired for dishonesty? Again, I'm not real clear on the background of that, but obviously her work history associated with Watergate investigation is not something that she necessarily puts front and center on her resume, is it?
Yeah, I think you're right. I do dimly remember that. And the thing with Hillary is, I really believe that she's just sort of a crooked person who's got to where she is, riding the coattails of her charismatic husband, and she doesn't have any of that charisma. She's been able to, keep, flying up the ladder because she benefits from that, dysfunctional relationship. Clinton as president was the most powerful man in the world for a while, and he still is extremely powerful. They've got their team, the Clinton Foundation, their hands are in other people's pockets and vice versa. I mean, that's the reason she's able to avoid prosecution for so long. I mean, other people would be in jail. I mean, we all remember the low-level state employee underneath her when she was the Secretary of State who used private email for official work, and he was fired.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. The book itself, by the way, I did find the title of that while you were talking, but it's entitled Send, Why People Email So Badly and How to Do It Better. I mean, that is really a scandal in of itself, the fact that the press is not out there talking about this.
Oh, no, it's the silence is just deafening. And again, besides the fact that the press is monolithically liberal, I will say this, I think it's even more than that. I mean, the Clintons go around and they threaten people. So many people have been threatened or harassed by them that I would be surprised if, that's the other part of it. And I'm just waiting until they come after me for starting Servergate as a regular column.
Well, I mean, there are other groups out there, too. I mean, there's one guy that I think it's Doug Ross again that put out the Scandal a Day column where he updates this on a daily basis. I mean, the stuff that comes out of the Clintons, though, anybody that's been following the Clintons for any length of time recognizes that they simply play fast and loose with everything, with morals, with the law. I mean, for crying out loud, Hillary was pretty much the enforcer for Bill Clinton when it came to the sexual harassment allegations against him. And, they just think that they're above the law. And they've pretty much gone on fairly unscathed. I mean, certainly Bill had some recriminations for what happened in the White House during his stint, got stripped of his bar license, some other things, but never really got real teeth to him. I mean, the guy's still raking in millions every year now. Of course, the Clinton Foundation, his reputation, fairly unscathed. And I just think they're used to walking basically on water when it comes to, basically not having to pay the piper for their bad acts. And I think that's why she's done what she's done. But I'm with you. I don't see how she can survive this. I think, this now brings front and center criminal acts that I don't think the Obama administration's DOJ is going to be able to avoid. There's going to have to be something, and even if it is a slap on the wrist, it's going to hit her hard enough. I mean, from an American's perspective, if it's just a conviction without anything else, that it's going to be very, very difficult for her to get the nomination. That's my assessment. I think it's in line with yours.
Yes, I agree. Yeah,
stay with us, The Joe Miller Show. We're going to have more after these messages coming up against a break. Stay with us. Rachel Alexander talking about Servergate, Hillary Clinton getting herself in trouble more and more, it seems, every day. Be back after these messages. Welcome back to the Joe Miller Show, KOAN Hot Talk, 1080 AM, 95.1 FM, We have with us Rachel Alexander. Rachel Alexander is an editor for thestream.org. She's been on this program before. We've been talking about the scandals erupting in the Clinton presidential campaign, of course, Hillary email scandals. It seems every day something else comes out that convinces folk that she's not appropriate for the presidency. Now there are over 300 classified emails that we know that she had on her server. Others are being investigated as well. Rachel, appreciate your column on Servergate. Appreciate you staying on for a few more minutes to talk about this.
Hey, great.
Huma Abedin, what's going on with her? What's her role? Is she going to get tagged with some criminality on this as well in your assessment?
Well, Huma Abedin, is the one who's got the ties to, Islamic terrorists, and it's Clinton's, her protege. She refers to her as her daughter, and she's, her closest confidant. Basically, she just hasn't ever gotten any subpoenas. Apparently, multiple subpoenas have been served on the State Department for Huma Abedin's emails, and they said they've never gotten them, which we know is fake because, there are other things that have, turned up, such as some of the Clinton buddies' emails have turned up that show that Huma Abedin, was in on this. So we're just finding more of the same stalling that's been going on from Hillary herself. She keeps changing her story, saying that I've never received any classified information, to saying, oh, if I did receive classified information, it then became classified later in time, to, saying, oh, well, maybe it accidentally got misclassified. I mean, her story keeps changing. She's just a liar. She herself even said she never got the subpoenas, just like her assistant. I mean, how can you not get subpoenas when they're sent to you both by, snail mail and by electronic email?
It's amazing. I mean, obviously her team is now approaching this with more seriousness than what they did, but Hillary is still on the trail joking about this stuff as recently as last week. Is she just hoping that people don't maybe their polling shows that this is not registering with people? Do you think it's really having an adverse impact at this point, at least amongst her Democratic base?
I think it is, and I will say this, the reason she's still joking about it is because, the one thing that helped the left get away with a lot of these complex things is because the average American doesn't understand it. People's eyes glaze over. This involves a lot of legal issues. This is a complex, so that's what she's counting on. That's why she's joking about it. I do think the Democrats, as we heard from Bob Woodward, who's now comparing this to Watergate, a friend of mine who has worked on Democratic congressional campaigns for years, told me he just thinks she is the most crooked person alive. He's Bernie Sanders or anybody else. So I think the rats are actually kind of scattering finally.
So with respect to the kind of complicated legal stuff, you suggested last segment that you believe felonies have been committed. Can you give us the breakdown? What laws are implicated here? Which ones do you think clearly she's going to be able to be found liable of violating?
Yeah, I mean, off the top of my head, okay, first of all, it's a crime to have classified information at an unauthorized location. It's a crime to change the characterization of a classified information. So if it was marked classified and then she unmarked it, so when they found it on her server, it would be marked as not classified. That's a felony. It's a felony to obstruct justice when they were trying to do the investigation, and she said she didn't have any emails. It's a felony to commit perjury. When she said that she had handed over all the emails, and no, guess what? There's still more, and now she's finally turning them over now. So those are four off the top of my head, and there's one more I'm not remembering, but basically we're talking multiple felonies. This isn't just something minor like poor, General Petraeus did.
So is there any indicator at all that DOJ is really approaching this with seriousness? I mean, by way of the people that are involved in the investigation, or do you think that's yet to be seen as to how DOJ is actually going to approach this?
In my opinion, I don't think they're taking it seriously, because why would they let her just turn over a scrubbed email server? Why wouldn't they be, trying to go back and recreate the emails or bring them back? Something seems really fishy. I mean, I would, if it was me, I would be bringing charges against her for, scrubbing, government evidence off of it.
Well, in fact, that hasn't been confirmed yet. I mean, once we get the forensic analysis, we'll find out whether or not she actually scrubbed it. But of course, nobody could ever imagine her doing anything but that. And that in itself is implicating criminality, isn't it?
Oh yeah. That's another felony right there. And then maybe that's what I'm not remembering, that whether she scrubbed the emails off. But again, I think she and Bill Clinton are the most powerful couple in the world, pretty much. If anyone can scrub those emails off without getting caught, it would be them.
Well, but they're still an indicator. I mean, they've got to put in random stuff on the disk and everything else. So, I mean, they'll be able to tell whether or not it's been scrubbed. That itself is going to have a whole host of implications, whether they get charged criminally or not. It's going to look awfully bad. There's no doubt about that. I just don't see how. I mean, because this is going to be kept alive, obviously, by the congressional investigation. No matter what DOJ does, the fact is she politically is going to get really hurt by this over time.
And that's where I totally agree with you. I mean, I don't think there's any way. It's going to be really tough for her to survive, especially since the emails just keep coming. I mean, when are they going to stop coming? As far as I know, there's still like another 20,000 she hasn't turned over.
Yeah. And then, of course, that begs the question as to what's in those emails, because those that aren't classified are probably going to become public, and there's likely very damaging stuff in those as well, don't you think?
Oh, God. The emails between her and Bill Clinton, those are the ones she says she doesn't turn over.
No. Wait. There are only two, right? He's only written 2 emails his whole life. That's what his aide said. Anyway, I mean, the lies just keep on coming. Rachel Alexander, appreciate your time on the show. We'll get up your article about Servergate on Restoring Liberty tonight along with the podcast. Appreciate your time. Thanks for keeping up the pressure on the libs.
I appreciate it. Love having you on the show.
Stay with us. Joe Miller Show, back after these messages.